on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law from FanDuel Sports Wisconsin. Good friend Craig Coshun. Craig, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
We're doing well. Long time no see. Good to see you on Monday at the Fiserv.
Yeah, it was. How about going from Brewers to Bucks in a matter of like 24 hours? So
I know it feels a little weird that we are already jumping into Bucks because of the Brewers season we've had, and because we're so wrapped up in the Packers and Micah Parsons, and then the loss and the tie, and it's like, you know, we're so involved with our sports here in southeastern Wisconsin, of course. But now the Bucks are on the horizon, and we'll get to the Bucks in a second. But I think we should probably start with our Milwaukee Brewers. Are you watching Cubs? Yeah, you're watching Cubs Padres, but do you have as a Brewers ambassador, as a Brewers fan, whatever it might be, do you have a rooting interest for who you'd like to see the Brewers take on in the NLDS?
Well, I've been asked that quite a bit here in the last week or so. I think from a baseball standpoint and how the Brewers fared against these two teams, they actually struggled a little bit. The Brewers won most of the series against most teams across baseball. That's how you get to be the best.
Sure.
But they lost that season series to the Cubs, and they lost the season series to the Padres. So to me, it just boils down to, if I'm just being a baseball fan right now, I would love to see Brewers and Cubs. I really would.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know anybody that really wouldn't want that at this point. I mean, if you're into baseball and rivalries, and this could, if the Brewers end up playing the Cubs and the Brewers win this series to advance, this takes the building block of this rivalry and puts it up a notch or two, to say the least.
So Craig, obviously, from your mouth to God's ears, that should be what ends up happening. But I think you also have to consider the anxiety of the Brewers fan, and that, what if we get what we asked for? What if it is Brewers Cubs and things don't go the way we'd all like to see that series go? Like, can we deal with how devastating that would be as a Milwaukee sports fan, as a Brewers fan, if things were to go sideways in that series? So I think I want the same thing. I want Brewers Cubs, because I think the Brewers actually match up better with the Cubs than they do with the Padres. I think the Padres can be very good. I think the Cubs are just okay. But I am respectful of that segment of the fan base that leads with anxiety.
Well, let me tell you something. I don't think there could be a bigger gut punch than what we experienced last year when the Mets stunned the Brewers in the ninth inning. I really don't, because I've been doing this for forever. And, we have a few Packer moments that we can say the same thing over time.
Sure, of course.
But the Brewer one, and I was around in '82, alive and well when the Brewers lost to the Cardinals. But that wasn't a gut punch like it was last year when that ninth inning happened, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, Craig Coshun joining us here on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. And so as we watch these two teams, I don't know if you had a chance to be at the stadium at all yesterday. I know they had, there was some open media sessions. Murph spoke, players spoke. What did you, if you were there or if you weren't there, and what you heard, what did you hear from how they're approaching this week? Any injury news, anything going on with the team that we need to know?
Well, I wasn't there yesterday, so I can't speak for exactly what happened there yesterday, but I know the game plan going in was to intensify the moment and get them ready for game one on Saturday. They're in such an unusual position right now with this bye. It's just so new to the organization, and I think for a lot of teams, it's tough to handle, because you've got to figure out a game plan. You can't just take Monday off and waltz in and do whatever you want on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You got to have a game plan. And if anybody in baseball has a game plan all the time, it's the Brewers organization. So I'm confident that they're handling this very well. And I will say, I was always a little leery on these days off and getting a bye. What do you lose as far as the juice and that type of thing? But this team needs it right now. And I really truly can hardly wait to see how they come out on Saturday. I'm expecting big things from them, and to be really, really ready to roll. That's for sure.
Craig Coshun, FanDuel Sports Network Wisconsin, joining us here on the Mason Crosby Show. Craig, let's start to look ahead at this team come Saturday, right? They brought in a couple of extra guys that have been up and down with the club all year, and really just want to get everyone ready in case any name is called. Do you expect any shocking a la Jesse Winker type moves here with this Brewers roster heading into Saturday? And what are your expectations, I guess, for some of these guys that are coming up just trying to stay loose and be with the ball club this week?
Well, I think the bottom line is this series is going to be a little bit different should they advance, just because of the length. And so there's going to be a name or two probably left off this series that we could see come back if they advance to the league championship game, namely starting pitching for this first series. So we'll see what they decide on that. But I don't think there's going to be huge surprises along the way. I think the one that I'm probably curious the most player wise is actually the veteran Rhys Hoskins, to see if he's going to be part of this or not, because he was very, very seldomly used when he came back off the injured list. And I don't recall him playing in a big moment since he came off either. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that. He's been a pro. The team has not skirted the issue. They understand, everyone is well aware of it, and they wanted to treat him, with respect and dignity. But the bottom line is, he's been passed up as far as, the talent and the production at this point. So those are always pretty tough, because he's a guy that's been there, done that, and there's no better guy to lean on. But can you afford to have that guy just on your roster to serve that purpose?
Well, and you talk about the moments. He's had those moments in October too, right? With Philadelphia already.
Exactly.
So it's a guy with experience in the moment, at least. And a lot of these guys, there is a decent amount coming back from last year's team, and they felt that gut punch, wind out of their sails moment that we were talking about. Yeah. But what about a guy who wasn't really necessarily the biggest part of it last year, who you're expecting to rise to the occasion in the moment this year? When I think of last year's team, like it's the Bowers and Frelick homers. I think of Churio robbing the home run in left field, right? But like, who else on this team that maybe didn't have that moment last year do you think could really rise to the top and capitalize on a moment this year in the postseason for Milwaukee?
Well, I mean, to me, look no further than Christian Yelich, because he was out. And you have
it's true. Actually,
this is the best player on this roster through and through, without question, the best player on this roster. I will take him as an addition versus last year any day of the week, and say he could have been the missing link last year. They were a pretty good team last year. But imagine if he would have been able to perform in the postseason, and that didn't happen. So, to me, I'll start with him. And I think after that, in my opinion, you mentioned Jackson Churio. He has just got the makeup for the big moment. And he showed it last year in the postseason as well. He almost carried the team. But he's going to have, I would imagine, more big moments here. I think he was kind of priming the pump last week when he got back on track. He had that home run robbed in San Diego, and then came back and had a good finishing series on that.
Hit well as well. Hit for some power, and as we hear on the broadcast all the time, when he's hitting for power to the opposite field, that he's really locked in. Craig Coshun joining us here on the Fan, 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, the Fan. All right, Craig, 1.13 ERA in June, 4.15 in July, 9.58 in August, 4.43 in September. What can Jacob Misiorowski do for this team? Is he, whether it's physically or mentally or experience-wise, there's so many questions around like what what he's going to be able to contribute? Are we counting on too much too early from a young kid who had half a season in Major League Baseball with all the talent in the world? Are our expectations too high? Should he even make the roster?
Yeah, should we even have expectations?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting point too, because he's another outlier here right now that I'm like, how does he fit in to this postseason? And I think one scenario could be that they keep him on this postseason roster and basically have a spot for him in a no fail situation where they are able to have the luxury of getting him some postseason experience.
Get up
being with the
6-0
team
early and get him a couple innings.
I mean, you just don't know. You just don't know. And I'm telling you right now, this guy's got a great makeup, but he's 23 years old. He needs to mature in a lot of ways, mentally and physically. And the Brewers have done a pretty smart job of targeting players that can handle the growth process, like Jackson Churio last year. They did it, I think, with Corbin Burns back in the day. He had to mature as well. I think Woody might be an exception because I think he came, wired to compete from day one. But I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if they're going to do that, but it wouldn't surprise me at all because they value him so much that to give him the experience of the postseason rather than saying, you know what, you almost made it, but and then push him back out of the mix. I would say at least for this first round, they might be better off leaving him on the roster and seeing how he fits into a game.
Well, the official player of the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis and Tommy Wirtz is Bryce Terang. He's our favorite player. We loved him actually even before the season started. Before he became a power hitter, when he was just a light hitting, silver gloved, gold gloved, platinum gloved player. We loved that dog. And then he just got better and better throughout the season. What can you tell us about Bryce and what his maturation and explosion at the plate has meant to this team?
Well, I think for him, it's, for what most people can't see, it's that work under the radar that just doesn't fly in front of everybody else until you get into a game. And, he's working so hard at a lot of things. And, he has a really quiet demeanor, but he enjoys the game so much and has such a competitive edge to him that it's been great to see him kind of blossom and make this run in the second half as far as slug goes and home runs and whatnot. And then to me, I think if you just go back to the beginning of the season, he just wasn't all the way healthy either. And, that takes time. Once you get into the season like this, it takes time to feel right about yourself. And it doesn't surprise me to see what we're seeing now. I think everyone's like, oh, why isn't he this way in April, May, and June? But I think he just had to get healthy. And he's such a perfect example of how great ball players are made. They're not great the first year. It takes a year or two or three to become that, but you see the progress along the way. And we've always seen that with Bryce. The whole defensive thing is just off the charts. He's been great defensively since day one, but to be a Hall of Fame type player, the offensive part of it is a gradual build in the beginning. And I think he's well on his way right now.
Craig Coshun, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin, joining us here on the Mason Crosby Show. I just got one more here for you. Maybe Mitch has one more after. I'm looking at the starting pitching during this first series, especially here, Craig. And we were hearing that we might get an announcement on Brandon Woodruff yesterday. That's been pushed back. I think that whole situation is like, if he's done, why not just say he's done, right, Craig? I would assume that we should have news by that if he's not going to be available. But let's not even talk about him. It's the other two guys that are going to be starting pitching, Freddie Peralta, Quinn Priester. Is there anyone else the Brewers would rather have in those two moments right now? You want to talk about the process of maturation. Like Quinn Priester did it in front of our eyes this whole year and was a stud the entire time. And Freddie Peralta, it really seems like he's also taking that next step into not just the ace of the Brewers, but an ace in terms of MLB baseball goes, Craig.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I mean, yeah, it's going to be those two guys in the front. The Woody thing, I just go into that, and I'm just going with the attitude he's probably not going to pitch. So, but that hasn't been official yet, and that'll be up to them to announce that and lay a plan out. But Freddie has been phenomenal. I mean, just the fact that I think Freddie's incredibly underappreciated. I think Freddie's got such talent that I think he's just in a spot where people are like, why can't you pitch through the fifth inning? Or why can't you pitch in the sixth or seventh? You're throwing 100 pitches, but I mean, sometimes that's just not who you are. And I think for Freddie, that's just not who he is. And so I think this club is kind of embraced that now. And if there was any frustration, believe me, this year that frustration hasn't been there either for the club or for him either. This is Freddie Peralta, so this is what you're going to get. And you know what? In the postseason, if he only allows 1 or 2 hits and only 1 run in 5 innings in the postseason, especially, this guy's primed this club for the finish of a game with the bullpen that they have. So he's going to do his part. And the fact that he's taken the ball every game this year, and it's just who he has been in his career. He's your 30-start guy. And he's gonna get a lot of strikeouts postseason. We've already seen it after the first day of the 4 games. Ton of strikeouts. So to me, look for that.
The aces looked like aces yesterday. That's for sure.
They absolutely
Skubal,
did.
Crochet, Freed, even. They all look good. Craig Coshun, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin, joining us. Because I saw you on Monday, I got to ask you a Bucks question. We're not ready for Buck season yet, and it's not official yet. Although I will let everybody know that as a long-time season ticket holder, I went to a 10-pack this year. I didn't do the full season, but I did do a 10-pack this year. So I'm still in the family. Was there anything that surprised, obviously Giannis wasn't there with the COVID and stuff like that. Miles Turner was fun. Bobby was introspective. Did anything really stand out to you on Monday? Is there anything you're really looking forward to storyline wise with this team as training camp and the beginning of the season gets underway?
Well, I mean, 2 things for me stand out above anything else. Just the fact that as a whole, this team is so doggone athletic and going to be so different from what we have seen the last couple of years. To me, that is by far the most exciting thing, because you have to compete at a high level physically, and the game is fast, and it hasn't been for this team lately. Right. And so this year, obviously, it should be much different. And then Miles Turner. I mean, I'm still, you go all the way back to when that move was made, and then how they prepped the move with moving Dame on. It's still, I think, stunning to me and a lot of people in the NBA that they were able to pull that off. And then you get a guy of 2 qualities. You get the quality of Miles Turner on the court after 10 years. If you don't know who he is, you're gonna. And then just the quality of the person that he is. He is an incredibly fun guy, obviously highly competitive, but he wants to get around the city. And I say, look out, man. He and Bobby Portis could team up together and
I was going to say they need to have like a little friendly competition that's like friendly, but like who's doing more fun things in Milwaukee, because there really is that much to do.
Yeah, there is. And I think, that would be so great, for the city, if this team competes at a high level, and to have these 2 guys, be the men of the city and go out and have some fun and, want to shake some hands, want to talk to some people and experience where they've been too, right? Socially. So, yeah, I'm looking forward. Those are the 2 things for me, this whole Giannis and this whole trade stuff is, I know you guys have to cover it on a daily basis and stuff, but I don't see anything to it at all.
No, we view it the same way as you do. Like, it's a lot of palaver. It's a lot of national guys wanting to make names for themselves.
Yeah.
If one day it happens that Giannis is traded, it'll be like like we should be prepared for it. Like, there may be a day that Giannis is not wearing a Bucks uniform, but it's not today, and it's not like this big situation that we all need to overanalyze every single day of our lives. Like, it'll be done. I think by Giannis and by the team, it'll be done the right way. It'll make sense for all parties involved.
And it sounds like as long as the Bucks stay competitive, you don't have to worry about it, right? I mean, that's what it is in Milwaukee.
Yep.
I mean, look, they're not gonna. I mean, think about what they have done. Their latest move to make this guy happy, right? I mean, you're eating up Dame's contract, and that's going to affect the payroll for the next 4 or 5 years, and then you bring in Miles Turner, and so think about how much money they're spending that is not going to Giannis,
right?
In that one big move right there. So believe me, they're doing everything that they can to make this guy not only happy, but make this team a winner around him. It's the hardest thing to do in the NBA is to continue winning. And we're going to see it with OKC here in the next year or two as well. It just is that way in the NBA. It's how they're financially structured. And I'm not overly happy with the way they're structured, but it is what it is, and everyone's playing by the same rules right now. Ask the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, that's for sure. Craig, thank you so much for jumping on today. Had a blast catching up, talking some Brewers playoff talk, and a little bit, before we know it, it will be Bucks season. So we are ready for it. It was great catching up. We'll be watching, and we'll definitely do it again soon.
Thanks, Craig.
All right. That sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Craig Coshun, FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin. You can follow him on Twitter. Let's see. Do I still have it up?
It's at Craig Coshun.
It's just at Craig Coshun.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy.
I didn't know if there's a WI after it or something like that.
Just at Craig Coshun.
Yeah, love that. And he's been around in the market forever. He's seen it all. And he's been a great voice for Wisconsin fans for a long, long time. Joining us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. When we come back, we're going to talk some Major League Baseball playoffs. And then best friend Andy Herman will join us at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. This is the Mason Crosby Show, the Middays with Thunder version of the Mason Crosby Show, powered by Verizon, the official 5G network of our Green Bay Packers.